similar level with their starters, and you never really know who's going to come out, at least for the top jungle and support roles. So might as well change it up and see if they can make something happen here. This time, though, Griffin will be on blue. So we talked about the draft and how it was a little bit, I don't want to say a little bit, it was pretty poor from the side of DAMWON.
Yeah.
And Griffin definitely.
are Aurelia and Fiora.
I think you have to do this.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it is locked in.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be on Sword not to fumble this. Now, interestingly enough, maybe you throw the Lissandra up in top lane and Chovy just pilots the Aatrox. That is definitely a possibility. Aatrox versus Camille in the middle lane. I don't think I've ever actually seen that, so I have no idea how it would go.
DAMWON.
There's a lot of scaling on the side of DWG Gaming, but there is a massive mid-game spike on the side of Griffin. But if DWG can weather the storm, there will definitely be some bright skies waiting for them.
Oh, yeah.
Post 33, 35-minute mark.
They definitely have that kind of a draft for sure. They do have a lot of physical damage, though, so we'll see how that goes for them.
Aatrox.
Whoa!
Whoa, I don't know what that was. Aatrox, Olaf, Lissandra, Ezreal, and Lux. This team does have some... It has a little bit of punch at one item, but really it gets very, very powerful in the mid to late transition, and then it begins to taper off and essentially act and conduct itself the same way throughout. But on the flip side, for DWG Gaming, they have Sivir, Tahm Kench, Camille, Sejuani, and Fiora. So they have split push gears available. They have wave clear. They do have siege even inside of the Sivir. And so there's a lot of gears available, and several of these champions just don't slow down.
Got to feel good as the game does go along there for the side of DWG. So putting their eggs in that basket. We'll see if Griffin, though, can speed it up as we jump into game 2. (2019) LCK Summer. It's heating up here, guys. It is getting pretty hot, though.
It is.
In Seoul.
It's not quite at the point where you go outside and you walk 10 feet and you're drenched in sweat. It's not quite there yet. Not yet. It's coming.
I feel like it's not super humid.
Oh, and then there's monsoon season next month.
Oh. I almost forgot about that.
Now I'm getting excited.
Thanks, LS.
Yep. I know that you're looking forward to it.
Monsoon season's fun, where it rains basically every day, and you can bring an umbrella, but the winds are really strong, so you end up breaking probably one or two.
Yeah.
Not out of anger, but the wind actually just takes it out of your hand or blows it upside down, which can actually happen.
You know, the interesting thing about the monsoon season is just you really never quite know what you're going to get in terms of rainfall, and then some days it's really scary.
Yeah.
It's really scary. And if you live in an apartment here, the windows are always shaking and making noise. Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, I know you have to deal with that.
Can't even turn on the AC. Gets bad.
Why can't you turn on the AC?
And well, it depends. If you have the Korean in-house units that they have, you know which ones I'm talking about?
Yeah.
They don't have them in America like that.
You mean the standing units?
Yeah, the standing units.
Yeah.
If you have those, it's fine.
Okay.
But if you have the pre-built-in air conditioner units that they have in the walls and in the ceiling, sometimes they just start flowing water. Everything just starts getting wet. It's really bad.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, it's scary. It's awful. It's an absolutely dreadful feeling. Sort of like playing Aatrox against Fiora. It's an absolutely dreadful feeling.
It is. It's a bad one.
Taking a look at all the runes here across the board. Nothing too unorthodox or out of the norm present on either side.
And you get the Klepto for the Fiora to just dunk on your lane even harder. You're not feeling any pressure up against the Aatrox, so you're just kind of chilling. Build up that gold as much as possible, and you end up getting a pretty massive lead.
Kleptomancy on the Fiora. A little bit surprised. You can't actually change... Well, obviously you can't change champions, nor can you know the runes of the opponent, but when they went into the game, I'm surprised that Chobi didn't say, okay, I'll go top lane, and make it so that Fiora doesn't have a rune. That would probably have been the best choice, to be honest. As long as Sword would be comfortable going up against Showmaker in mid.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. And there have been times like this before where
teams have done it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Freaka.
We've seen it many times. I mean, even at Summit, Sandbox went mid a couple times. We saw a couple of random stuff like Darius mid. We saw, I think it was Taller or someone brought a Darius mid. We had a Gangplank mid.
Gangplank mid is really good against teams that want to try to mix up the draft, and they end up with a Kali in mid. He's really good against the Kali. He's also able to do okay against Aurelia in mid lane. So, definitely some versatility is possible. Doesn't look like Griffin wanted to try to go that route this game, and already the bottom lane for Griffin doing a fantastic job. Dishing out a lot of poke to Salt. Nuclear does have the teleport available. Barrel not quite as fortunate.
See that Canyon trying to help out their bottom lane, puts that down, and it was an unfortunate timing because the lane was pushed, so Lehens and Viper just walk over. They're like, okay, thank you for the extra gold. We'll take this out. Our ward was about to die anyway. And the lane dominance, again, is prevalent here in this game, at least so far in the bottom lane. Oh, no, but no, it's fine.
Zipper posting right at the very end there. We're having a pretty standard game here so far. Not too much chaos, and starting to look very similar to game number 1. Not a lot of chaos unfolding. Both junglers just sort of farming it out, but you can see that Tarzan's route is a little bit off kilter. He has the 7-10 split going on when you have the golems and the Gromp up, but nothing in between.
Yeah.
Feels quite bad.
7-10. Still ahead on CS over Canyon. Canyon took a little vacation in this game. And now Tarzan's waiting for him here.
Man.
And Canyon just going to face check it. See if he can get away from this one. Looks like Undertow comes in.
Really good amount of damage, though.
Yeah.
Even though Nuguri is coming, it shouldn't matter all that much.
Oh, man. Ult is coming through here as Sword is really trying to show his dominance up here on the top side.
Definitely not a favorable position right now for DAMWON. And you can see that Chovy, he's completely content here in the mid lane, and also Showmaker really going to be gimping his build for early into mid transitions. He rushed Mercury Tread on Camille. He's not going to do any damage.
Yeah, he's basically just going to survive and farm, but he's still going to get behind onto that Lissandra. Take a look at the bottom lane. You can tell that, of course, Sivert just trying to scale, but Viper and Lehens are like, no, we want to get in there and do the damage. Obviously, the shield max here on Lehens is being highlighted. Did go Guardian here for the Lux, which we have seen before.
Clear and Barrel just trying their best to hang on. Clear is down teleport right now. We'll have to sustain inside of the lane, and now Canyon is in close proximity to bottom. But everything's just sort of, it's going back and forth. We're playing ping pong.
Yeah.
Ping pong's actually really popular in Korea lately.
Lately?
Yeah. No, there's a lot of ads.
Oh, really?
For it, yeah. I don't know why. Gaining a lot of popularity.
Turning there. As level 6 is hit here for Canyon, but
that clipped him.
Stop Tarzan as he's still going. And now the ultimate comes out of Ezreal. Canyon nearly gets hit by another axe. As even up a level, he's not able to get enough help from his teammates and can't do much but run away.
He's being forced out of the jungle, but as you said, he is already up a level, so now Tarzan's going to return to jungling. But I like what he's doing. He's recognizing that his laners are all winning at this point, and so all that he's trying to do is latch on to the opponent. Chovy just missed out on the Demolish proc, yeah.
He got the plate.
Yeah, he did get the plate. I believe he missed out on the Demolish. But nonetheless, Tarzan recognizes that his lanes are all winning, finds the opposing jungler, latches onto him, and basically says, you're not going to help anyone this game. He just has to sit back and watch.
And that has been a thing that we've seen from Tarzan before in the past, where we always remarked, especially when he was first showing up after coming into the LCK, we always remarked on his just sense in the jungle, the ability to find the other jungler, and his pathing was always score-esque. We always talked about him as a very intelligent jungler. He was being called the teacher by Punch, who came out here in game 1 and then got benched. Yeah, he's just a very smart jungler. It's definitely something good he can do on the Olaf versus Sejuani matchup.
So far up in the top lane, Nuguri, ever since that level 6 fiasco that forced him out of lane and made him recall, he hasn't been able to accrue a sizable advantage, but that's alright. Fiora does come online later against the Aatrox and does start taking over. So at this point, though, Chovy now even getting in on the action.
Yeah, might as well. I mean, Showmaker is going to pick up his teammate now, but it was all just about the never-ending Lissandra push that is so annoying to deal with. Showmaker never had an idea in his mind that he was going to be fighting with Lissandra or anything like that, so he kind of just had to get pushed in over and over. Speaking of which, Len's taking a bit of damage down here on the bottom side. It's not looking all that bad for the side of Nuclear and Barrel now.
Canyon gonna try to make this work, potentially. Require Nuguri to take a port trip.
Hey, here we go. It is going to land. And do they have the CC flashing forward? But it's not going to go down. A sword is going to stay alive. And there it is. First blood will go to Tarzan. Make that a double kill, the 2-for-1, as they win the big fight in the top lane.
And that's a massive swing up there in top that they couldn't really afford to have happen right now. Nuguri still doesn't have his teleport available, which means he will lose out on quite a bit of CS, as we can see that Aatrox gonna crash that next wave. He won't be able to get a plate, I don't believe. But meanwhile, in mid lane, Chovy.
Yeah.
He's got 2. Might even actually be able to get 3 within a couple of minutes.
You'd have to imagine. I mean, it's just a non-stop push, and the Lissandra pick seems to work out, as now Lahen's in a little bit of trouble here. Does have his flash, but oh! Thomas Kent!
That's really surprising, but it comes at a really important time for DAMWON. They needed a break, and they finally got it somewhere. Lahen's too slow to react on the flash.
Didn't expect that amount of tongue power from the man himself, but
I think he maybe even imagined that Viper would cover a little bit more area for him.
yeah.
We'll take a look at this as well, so watch this. They end up going, but they just weren't quite able to do it at the same time, and Nuguri a little bit slow right there, and it was just what they needed for Griffin to turn this around. No flash, no flash.
잡고 빼. 잡고 빼.
화면
가서 잡고 빼.
I'm gonna push top,
And another replay on this.
Well, let's take another look at this. And right here, watch Viper. He can easily, instead of issuing the auto attack, keep moving south and have blocked the tongue lash, but didn't want to do it.
Seems like even he wasn't expecting that amount of damage to come out, but Lux is, especially without Aftershock, she is very squishy. It shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, but you gotta be careful. You gotta recognize that is the case.
Now we're back to the middle lane, where Lissandra will keep shoving endlessly.
Sally-Ann.
What?
That's her nickname.
Alright.
Yeah. Okay, here we go again. Tarzan
They know about him, though.
Yeah. Nice. Every time Canyon tries to go somewhere, Tarzan's just like, nope. And now it's going to force the TP coming out here from Camille. Sword, I'm not sure about that one, but he is just going to hop over the wall. And he's totally fine.
Couldn't quite locate the R key to lock up the Aatrox. And Chovy, he's already at 3 plates. There's only 13 seconds remaining, though. No minion wave in close proximity, so he'll have to settle for 3 this game.
Yeah, you know, that's okay. That's all right.
Already has the Ludens completed. And look at Chovy. He's about 11.5 or 11 and a half. Showmaker still level 10. So not quite sure how far behind he is in the middle lane. Meanwhile, up in top lane, same story again. Fiora, level 10. Sword is into 11. So the experience gap is very, very big, and I feel like it's a stat that a lot of people really underestimate. You're getting all the base scaling components, the extra skill points and whatnot, amplifying damage, and sometimes levels alone can even be more valuable than certain recipe items.
That's absolutely a big deal. We did talk about this before, how DAMWON, they're kind of playing for the long game. Obviously, these lanes are not going very well, especially that top lane where they thought they would have a bit more fun with the Fiora versus the Aatrox, but that has not been the case. But let's see if they can hold on for another 15, 20 minutes. Maybe then we can slowly see this game turn around, but I'm not sure that Griffin is going to let them get there.
DAMWON, I mean, they're only down 2,000 gold right now. We can maybe assume that it's about 2.5 after the Rift Herald's going to be used. So it's not catastrophic yet, especially when you consider their scaling. Griffin's really looking to be about 5,000 ahead at 20 for you to consider them truly ahead, ignoring player skill and whatnot. I'm just talking comp to comp, and a lot of that just has to do, again, with the base scaling of the champions, but also how well do they effectively scale into future item buys. So now Ravenous Hydra completed for both top and mid laner, as both teams are just going to continue to posture. No one really cares about the Cloud Drake.
Yeah.
As yet again, they want to make something happen up here against Sword.
Sword doesn't seem too bothered so far. Like the way that he's taking trades, never committing to much, just looking for the sweet spots on his Q. Shelly doing a little dance, but gonna have to do some work here and knock down the turret. There it is, first blood turret going the way of Griffin. And as you mentioned, just about 2.5 thousand gold ahead now is the side of Griffin.
Finally, Tarzan gonna be pathing towards the Clown Drake. Gonna pick that up for his team.
Yeah. I feel like it's not that bad. It's pretty good on Aatrox and Olaf at least. Get them in range for them to do their stuff as okay. Trying to lock down Sword again.
You can see he's not buying it. And so when you're wondering, if you're watching this, how do pro players know that something is amiss? Well, yeah. Olaf's on the right side of the map. There's no sign of Sejuani. You have the wards on the right-hand side jungle. She hasn't been spotted in a while. Suddenly, a Fiora is getting really frisky in front of your turret, playing a little bit reckless. And you have to wonder, okay, well, this isn't natural. This hasn't been how she's been playing out the laning phase thus far. And so because the behavior is abnormal, you can put 2 and 2 together and probably deduce that the jungler's there. But at the pro level, you can also sometimes do this to feign your jungler.
Yeah.
To make the opponent think that your jungler is top lane, suddenly they show up bot. And these are little maneuvers that can definitely come into play at the pro level.
You see it occasionally every now and then, but most of the time it's just a good read, as the jungler's most of the time there.
And sometimes it can lead to you getting the better end of certain trades because people play them out differently, thinking that maybe your jungler's nearby. Maybe they won't use an ability that is designed for their escape in the event that your jungler suddenly appeared and they weren't actually there, so you went out on the trade. Nonetheless, Infernal Drake will come up next. That's a high priority dragon for both of these teams. So if game number 1 was an indication of anything, we could maybe expect to see some sparks fly at that Drake and perhaps even the game end.
Yeah. Except this time it's actually the Infernal Drake and not the Ocean Drake for DAMWON. So maybe they're not going to like this one as much. Maybe they'll just say, you know, we like Ocean Drakes, not so much Infernals. But let us wait and see, as we still got about 2.5 minutes until that does get going. And Griffin, they don't seem in a rush at all. They're playing this very methodically, not really trying to force anything or going for any big ganks or anything like that. They're just farming up, you know, keeping with the lead that they've already built themselves in the early game. And they'll be looking to make their move before things get too late. As you did mention before, you know, you don't want it to go to 35 minutes plus because then you got Fiora, Sivir, Camille, and a bunch of ways to get them around the map. And CC and your jungler. So, no doubt Griffin will be making their move eventually, but that time is not yet in this game.
And 2,500 gold is all that separates the two teams right now, and so in theory, you would say to yourself, well, Griffin didn't accrue the type of sizable advantage that one would maybe hope, knowing that you're going up against a scaling team composition. But we mentioned that they do have the mid-game spike. They have the mid-game power, and fortunately for them, the Dragon's actually spawning at a point where the second items haven't quite come in just yet. And because of the way that some of the champions have itemized right now on the side of DAMWON, it can actually be a little bit problematic for this impending team fight. And if the Infernal goes over on the way of Griffin, it really helps them go toe-to-toe against the scaling components on DAMWON.
Yeah. So that extra bit of scaling through the Drake is going to help them do a little bit of that, as well as Canyon just can't get enough of this top lane. It's not really going to help out there as Showmaker takes a big chunk.
It's really surprising. Because top lane influence right now, we've even heard some top laners talk about how
he's back again.
They really want.
All right, well, we'll give it another shot here as the stopwatch will come in, and Sword doesn't really care about that. He's already level 14 here as well, up against level 11 Canyon, so nothing hitting, and he just easily gets away.
You ever get the really toxic player in your solo queue game who keeps spam pinging you and demanding that you gank their lane?
Oh, yeah.
That's what it feels like right now. Canyon's being held hostage.
But then it's not in a good spot, but you're like, okay, fine, I'll do it. And then when the gank goes wrong, they question mark ping you.
Or
those are the best.
Is it the jungler who keeps trying to force the agenda?
Those are more rare.
Those are pretty rare. They just never give up.
Yeah.
Like, no, we have to do this right now.
Yeah.
Now or never. Sort of like this. Now, see, this is the awkward moment. Oh, okay.
Oh, boy.
All right.
Oh, boy. Okay, get lasered in the back, too.
It actually tickled her.
Yeah.
That didn't really do too much.
Lux doesn't really do damage in the support role.
Let's take a look here. So, Ezreal, 211 AD, 40 AP right now. See the amplification. Okay.
32.
You got 4 AP. You got 21. What?
4 AP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4 ability power.
That's nice.
Got 21 AD.
Yeah.
2 longswords.
And every lane is winning. Not every position. The support actually goes over to Beryl. He's winning with his 54 CS. He's sharing a lot of that.
It's a very powerful Infernal Drake at this point in time. It really helps them at arguably their strongest point inside of the game is going to be the 2 and 3 items. So See what they can end up doing with it. Aatrox probably almost has his Death Dance completed. And they're even going to give the blue over to Viper. He has the Luden's Echo, he has the Iceborne Gauntlet.
Nuguri trying to get away from this one, will be ulted, but a nice riposte is going to shove it right back, and the TP is coming in. Really nice timing there on the Zhonya's, but Jovi is going to try to hop away, but he goes straight into the mouth of the Simmer. Will shut her down.
They committed a lot there to try to get Nuguri, but wasn't quite enough. I mean, he played it really well with the riposte. It did look like Griffin was staggering a bit, trying to get him and eventually bring him down. And that's a nice little tempo swing that will go the way of DAMWON.
Really got to hand it to Nuguri. His mechanics on point. That's part of the reason why he was brought in to play that Fiora and make it happen. So we're going to get another look here at how this play happened.
The undertows are all hitting. Chovy comes over the wall, but he's really slow on the pull. And you can see there, right at the end, people might be wondering, well, why doesn't he press R right away? That's actually, what I'm thinking is a little bit of a mind game where he's anticipating that Nuguri will press the riposte sooner, doesn't see it, eventually goes for it at the point of no return. Nuguri ends up casting the riposte, and it was really well played by him. The leveling game definitely successful for DAMWON. And that Fiora is getting massive. Ravenous Hydra and Trinity Force.
And you can see that Sword is absolutely respecting them right now. The gang's up in the top side under that turret, not so much, but second that, you know, Fiora does well in a fight, gets a couple of items, Trinity Force now. He's like, okay, I'm ulting and flashing, pressing all my buttons to get away.
Camille, not quite as fortunate, doesn't have the Trinity Force completed yet. And so we'll see what ends up happening there. It's a very nice Aatrox skin. You ever realize that when he ults, he looks like a giant moth?
Kind of, yeah. I never really thought of it that way, but I think you're right.
Just watch him next time he ults.
Okay.
All right, he's been ulting a lot this game. They've been really trying to get, you know, they've been trying to kill him.
It comes out of the cocoon and
yeah,
becomes a moth.
Yeah.
Do moths come out of cocoons?
When a caterpillar, you know, I don't know the process, but you can either end up with a butterfly or a moth.
Are you sure about
And
that?
Pokemon taught me that. No, but it's not Pokemon.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Sword and Shield before.
We did.
In our match points, but it's not out yet, LS. You'll have to wait.
Which one are you gonna buy?
Neither.
What?
Isn't it for like DS or something?
No, it's for Nintendo Switch.
Oh yeah, I don't have that yet.
Yet being the key word.
Yeah, you know, maybe
Plenty of time.
maybe like 3 or 4 years from now.
What?
We'll see. We'll see how that goes.
All right, wait for it. He's gonna ult any day now. Just watch his wings.
I'm waiting for that one.
This is truly turning into a very Griffin-esque game where now they're gonna start losing slowly over the course of the next couple of minutes if a team fight doesn't end up unfolding. But they will Jedi mind trick the opposing team into taking a disadvantageous team fight, resulting in Griffin's inevitable win, the capture of the Baron buff, and then the fall of the opposing Nexus.
That sounds like Griffin to me.
That's the sequence of events that are... Just buckle up.
Okay.
Somehow...
You didn't have to spoil it before we got there, but...
After Tarzan consistently being behind in levels, he's now found
Alright, here we go, the moth. Okay.
See?
Nice hook shot. It's not going to matter as he finds 4 members, count them 4, from Griffin as Beryl as well. He's going to donate himself
the Jedi mind
to
trick.
science.
This is it. Now the Baron.
And it is actually going to start. That's why you're not supposed to read the script on cast, LS. You're supposed to keep it to yourself.
Alright.
Now, we got Fiora split pushing. That's just about all she can do at this point in time. But the Baron is absolutely going to go the way of Griffin here. DWG not even sending a jungler over. They'll just be happy with the Cloud Drake. And the next one will be a Ocean. Nobody really going to care about that one. The Baron from the Jedi Mind Trick outplay.
Let's take a look at this.
And we're going to take another look
Ask
here.
yourself why all of DAMWON was here doing what they were doing. And you can't come up with an answer. How did they convince Beryl to ult in like that?
I know. Beryl's the one where you're like actually thinking about it. You're like, I don't know. Maybe Ellis is onto something.
Qui-Gon Jinn waves his hand.
You will ult in the top push.
Oh, man. Alright, well, now with the Baron and the Ezreal and the Lux, that's quite a lot of poke and siege. The DAMWON team comp, it does have wave clear, but Sivir's not totally there yet. She will be able to hold on for quite a while. It is definitely one of the best ADCs that you could hope to have against the Baron Siege.
Yeah.
Here comes the Moth. You didn't comment on his wings.
I did.
No, you didn't.
I said, here's the Moth.
No, you didn't. No, you said, here's the Moth, but you said something was really good. I thought you were talking about his wings.
Yeah. That is true.
Whoever designed the skin did an excellent job.
Give them a raise.
Yeah. It's very expensive, though. Skin.
That's true.
It's fine, though.
I mean, they made a lot of money, so they give the person a raise, right?
It's
the way
about
it works,
letting the opponents know. That's what it's all about.
Oh boy, Lahan's in a lot of trouble, but he is going to survive somehow, some way. Viper too, with a great stopwatch here, going to get over the wall. But maybe this is the fight, but Toby trying to turn it around by himself, flashes in, and is nearly able to get a bunch of members, but now they're going to find Showmaker here. The stopwatch at the last moment, but the good timing there to take him down. That will be just the one kill after a very tumultuous fight.
Yeah, it was a very close fight that could have gone either which way. If one Lissandra passive just went off inside of that fight, everything just gets really chaotic. But if they can lock up Viper, then things would have gone very, very poorly. Baron, only a minute and 15 seconds remaining. Let's take a look at how this all ends up transpiring. Lahan's walks straight into a Sejuani ult, but Hungary was tied up temporarily.
Yeah, the binding.
Flashes over onto Viper, but not able to execute him, and just barely Chovy misses lethal on one of the targets. Showmaker barely able to get away at the very end, but ends up eventually being caught, forced to use his stopwatch.
Yeah. I was following Nuguri in that fight, actually. He got the second part of the binding, then flashes over, and then he does a little bit of damage, and then he kind of just walks away awkwardly. Yeah. So the Fiora in team fights at times can be overwhelming. Just a bit of an awkward fight there in the jungle. Not your straight on 5v5.
Sterix now completed for Fiora. It looks like Guardian Angel will be the fourth item of choice. And Baron is about to dissipate, so they weren't able to end it with one. They do have a 4,000 gold lead, but honestly, that's not super big, all things considered. Okay, well that poke is quite big.
And take a look over here. As, that's a Fiora left out on an island. I'm not sure why he was so far up the lane that he was going to get caught out that way, as actually we have two split pushers in this game. One of them being Showmaker, but the rest of his base is going down. I guess he decided that he's not able to do much to help, but that does mean that Griffin, without the Baron here, are just going to push on and probably take two inhibitors. Maybe even push for more here and force the Camille to come back, or otherwise go for the game as Toby's diving in now. Big thick skin here as Sword not quite able to get that damage.
Oh, if they can hold on.
They can stop the backs here. This could get interesting. As the
Nuguri
inhibitor does go down.
Nuguri has teleport, so does Nuclear.
Oh, this is going to get interesting, actually. Here we go, TP out of the Ezreal. Not quite able to stop that one, and Desperation one from Sword as well. That was getting a little bit scary there towards the end.
Yeah, if any of the members on Griffin died, things really could have turned around almost entirely. That's kind of the worst way to lose. Or they're trying to find Camille.
Yeah.
Not going to find her, though. And Ocean Drake is on the map now. And we can take a look. Yeah, everyone was on a little bit of a different page. As the inhibitor, you can see the bottom one, received quite a bit of damage, but didn't end up getting killed. So there's only super minions coming in from the middle lane, but Now with the top inhibitor down, there is an open window for the 3 teleports on the side of DAMWON. If they even get the slightest of advantages, provided that these super minions are in close proximity to Griffin's base.
Just like that, we have a win condition here for DAMWON, especially as the game is getting later on. You have a couple of those big scaling champions all teleporting in at the same time. You know, how are you going to handle that? I mean, Tovi at this point is the only one that has his TP available. Viper and Sword used it to get back in that last play.
And you can see right now Chovy is on Fiora duty, as he's the only one that can realistically sort of hold her off at the last turret. He has to cosplay as Gandalf right there in the bottom lane. And we're actually get to see one of the reasons that the top inhibitor is the weakest inhibitor, and it's due to the proximity towards Baron. It's so easy for teams to posture around it, always push back the minion waves there. And it's not really the most valuable. Obviously, bottom inhibitor is the best. Top inhibitor only becomes valuable post 40 minutes when Elder Dragon starts becoming entertained, as the map sort of flips on its head.
Yeah. And take a look at this. They actually spotted Showmaker coming on in. There were pings from that control ward, so both Viper and Chovy are down here in the bottom lane, really taking the split push seriously. This game is about to get really interesting as we do come along here. 35-minute mark about to be overcome.
Two-shot barrage, it's going. Left the map now. Like a start.
Yeah, see you later.
Chovy really trying to hold this. And now Tarzan and friends coming in. Lahens, everyone's collapsing.
And immediately things to go to the Baron are coming in as they got a Sivir inside that belly. We're just going to 3-man it here, and Griffin, we're made it into it, but then someone's saying, looks like we can't do it fast enough.
Yeah, they can't do this fast enough. This would actually be a really interesting play if they had Mountain Drakes.
Oh, yeah.
This is definitely the type of fork that they could do to Griffin. But right now, their team composition is diminished to smoke and mirrors. You don't want to kill the Ocean Drake. That'll cause the Elder Dragon to spawn.
Okay, the Moth is flying again as Nuggery here. Getting 2v1. Nice timing there on the ultimate. Down she goes. And no longer will the Fiora be living. But yeah, they're going to go for this Ocean Drake here.
Oh man, 50 seconds on Nuggery. This means that the Baron will go the way of Griffin, and with the bottom wave having been shoved out as well, it's going to be really hard to try to do anything. DAMWON are going to have to really find the needle in the haystack here if they're going to want to stay alive inside of this game, and this is what ends up happening when smoke and mirror attempts end up falling apart. And for people that are wondering, well, why don't they just team fight yet? They're not at a point where they can, and the open inhibitors make it problematic.
Hold the phone. Canyon is going to be spotted here. They're not going to go for this one just yet until they push Canyon away. Speaking of which, they nearly kill him on the backside. So they get the Baron. The TP's coming in here. Camille desperately trying to kill that turret. It's actually closer than I thought it would be. Nearly goes down here at the last second, but Chovy is able to put on the defense.
And now what they'll end up doing is they'll escort the bottom wave, which is the turret that just got hurt the most, to ensure that that'll be where the next super minions spawn from, so that they can try to put an end to DWG Gaming's attempt at doing anything there. Atrox holding down the fort up in top lane. Inhibitor has respawned now in top. You can see there's no more super minions coming, so that's a cannon that is up in top. Elder 3 minutes away, which means that this Baron will last into it. Almost, allowing them to control all of the vision around DWG Gaming's blue side jungle. Guardian Angel completed for Showmaker. He has the Executioner's Calling as well as a Null Magic Mantle. I'll have to see what his last item of choice will actually end up being. Sword forced to flash away.
A bit in trouble, but maybe able to bait Nuggery in here. There's a nice amount of damage on the last side, but does end up having to blow his ult and his flash on that one. Viper trying to go 1v5 on the poking war, and Griffin now finally going for this bottom inhibitor that they wish they had taken earlier on in the game, but instead will take it now And with that gigantic wave in the bottom lane, they're looking to push on in here. Viper with the bait, with that stopwatch, but Lahen's taking a huge amount of damage. Showmaker trying to get into the back line. He's going to get exhausted, not quite able to take on Lahen's, who's able to kill him in the end there. Toby as well on the front line. Takes out the Sejuani, and that should do it as Griffin here, 5v3 now with the Baron, are going to push to end.
And the Lissandra passive did quite a bit of work also, creating or acting as a zoning tool, and you're right, Valdez, that's all that she wrote.
Yeah, not much else they can do here, as once again the story will continue. Griffin will be 13-0 up against DAMWON and 2-0 tonight.
And very slow starts in both of the games, but explosive mid-game and mid to late transitions. That was the story for tonight's games.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys, Griffin, kind of just playing at their speed, you know? We saw win conditions for the side of DAMWON, but there was never really a moment where, you know, DAMWON were really playing to those. I mean, I guess the second game was taking a little bit longer, so perhaps you could say it in that facet, but it always felt like Griffin was in total control of that game.
Yeah, Griffin, they always seemed to be reading everything early on, and in addition to that, Sword really faded a lot of the pressure that was being put his way at so many different points. And so it was a really good play. I think that DAMWON, they had a really good idea of what they wanted to do, but just couldn't quite execute on it. Nonetheless, Griffin, it's not the kind of dominating performance maybe people would have wanted to have seen.
Well, game one was. I think it was, you know, it wasn't super fast, but the way that they won eventually, it was very one-sided.
Yeah.
Whereas game number two definitely took a while longer, but they were able to make that Aatrox lane work against the Fiora. The good turnaround gank, they were reading him well, and if I had to pick an MVP, I would definitely put my money on Tarzan. I mean, that guy was just shadowing Canyon the entire time. It's just what we always expect from that matchup, Tarzan versus Canyon. I'm sure Canyon still has PTSD from all the other times that this exact thing has happened. Poor guy. Not a bad player, it's just hard when you're going up against Tarzan and he's just making you irrelevant on the map. So, good game there from Griffin, and we mentioned in the beginning one of the goals for Griffin is to solidify in everybody's minds that, yeah, we're still really good. You know, we got stomped in the finals up against SKT, but we are absolutely still a big contender here in Korea, and at least against DAMWON, it is what we expected, but definitely still a contender here.
Yeah, Griffin, they still have the team fighting prowess. That was what they were sort of known for in spring, is they, even if they fell behind, they always managed to sort of bring it back.
Yeah.
In tonight's games, their lanes were all doing really, really well, and the team fighting still showed up, and it allowed them to win out quite big. But also, I mean, the game number two was sort of a chain reaction of these very small mistakes that had very big consequences for DAMWON, and it just sort of spiraled out of control with the Baron. They had some nice attempts to come back in it with the split push, but it's not quite. Right here, Sword and Tarzan managed to turn this around, and this was really one of the tipping points for top lane, at least temporarily. DAMWON did get a break right here, though, and just watch Viper. You can see that he has opportunity to keep pathing down, but he issues an auto attack, and so doesn't avoid the tongue lash. Lahen's probably was expecting him to do that, so not just outright criticizing the flash. Right here, this is actually a leveling game. You don't get to see this that often in pro play, or you don't get to see it be so obvious. And so basically, Nuguri and Chovy both right there are thinking, are you going to riposte? Am I going to R?
Yeah.
That is the question that they're both asking each other, and so that's why it looks a little bit stunted. This is the Jedi mind trick.
Yeah, Jedi mind trick. they absolutely tricked the unintelligent catfish to make his way onto that top side. But yeah, just not expecting Griffin to be in position there, but all four of them being there. It's a vision issue as well. And that's just one small thing, once again, that Griffin did better tonight over DAMWON. Showmaker just holding on to that last bit of hope.
생각해보자. 우리 바로
Okay,
오케이.
let's listen to what they were saying here at the
다
end.
붙어있지 마. 나 11쪽에 이 계속 날려볼게.
이 빠졌어. 세기도 해도 돼. 친구.
We can do it.
이번에 볼래?
100개
나왔다, 볼래?
봐도 돼. 자, 천천히 해서
This is
카밀 잡았어?
this is something that's actually been talked about in interviews and whatnot. That Griffin doesn't like to talk during team fights. So normally when you listen into certain teams fighting, they'll actually be a lot more vocal with what's going on inside of the fight, or they'll convey to each other more what's going on. But I believe that it's a part of how they practice is that they have silence during team fights.
살짝 무서웠어.
So that was interesting to get a little bit of a glimpse of it right there. Even though they're not totally silent, they're definitely much more so
really
than other teams.
Yeah, exactly. Really all they're saying is like, yeah, watch me, cover me, get this guy. Just quick things, right, that you just want to, refocus in a fight, but everybody's supposed to be running on all cylinders otherwise. As, yeah, there you have it, 38 minutes. Kind of got over the line, but it was a little bit too little too late. As that counter pick of the Lissandra into the Camille, you can see the difference in the 19,000 extra damage that Jovi had in this game to his mid lane counterpart.
Camille didn't really get to play the game.
Not really.
From the itemization to everything that just unfolded in the later parts. Obviously, Camille eventually got there with her items, but going Mercury Treads first, fleet footwork, trying to sustain inside of the laning phase, losing multiple plates, doesn't really get to play the game. So one of the things I really just have to bring full circle, though, about tonight's series, though, is Tom.
Yeah.
Green teams are picking him again.
He's looked good in some games, and then some games are like this one where you're like,
yeah, Tom's interesting. I can understand him in kill lanes and lanes where he's going to be normal.
yeah.
But really, though, the meta for both series tonight, but also just past series so far in Summer 2019, it's looking very slow to adapt and change.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see if that actually keeps up. You know what comes out next week?
What's
I believe
that?
Mordekaiser.
Oh boy.
So we got a rework on our hands.
There you have it.
MVP is Tarzan.
Yeah. Definitely voted for this guy, and did deserve it. I mean, he was all over Canyon. Canyon was trying to influence the bottom lane a couple of times, to a top 5 million times. Tarzan seemed to always be there and always just stopping him at every turn. Just read him like a book again.
And this is a really interesting way for people to view the jungle. Tarzan recognizes that all of his lanes are doing really well, and so he forgoes farming himself and getting strong himself, even falling behind in experience at several points, to latch on to the opposing jungler, because the information of where Canyon was infinitely more valuable than any of the XP or the camps that he could have gotten on his own accord. And allows his laners to keep basically doing everything, and Canyon just has to sit on the sidelines and watch.
Yeah. And that's really the way it usually goes, right?
Yeah.
Canyon picks a ganking or, level 6 or some kind of aggressive jungler that's trying to affect these lanes, and Tarzan's just like, nope, no, it's not going to happen. As, yeah, that's kind of what we were expecting. Anything else you want to add, Alex?
No. I'm looking for, every rework ends up in the LCK at some point. So,
I
hope Mordekaiser's broken.
Well, we'll see. I'm going to hand it over to Ji-Sun for this translation.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Ji-Sun with today's last interview translation. Griffin, I think you guys are showing better performance today, especially you, Jovi. So what kind of feedback did you give to yourself after the first match? Well, I didn't farm well, so I really tried my best to concentrate more. Nothing really changed much, right? Yes. No. So you guys are actually on 13-0, starting from a challenge in Korea.
적팀이라서 제가 잘 모르긴 하는데.
Well, I'm not really
일단
sure
좀
because they're my
전적상 저희가
opponents, but in
우위니까
terms of match
할 때는
record,
좀
we are
편안한
actually
감이 있는
leading, so
네,
it makes
인터뷰에서
us
소주
feel a little bit
선수라고
more comfortable.
크게 신경 쓰지 않는다 이런 말씀도 하셨는데 확실하게 자신감이 있으셨나요?
Does that kind of boost your
일단 저희만
confidence about the match
잘하면은
record?
딱히 질것 같지 않아가지고.
As long as we
부분만
perform
신경
well,
썼던 것
actually that's the only
네,
point that we are actually focusing on.
2세트는 타자 선수가 가져가셨는데 1세트 때 가장 화제가
So game
됐던 게
one.
초비 선수의 CS예요.
Chovy,
차이가 나기도 했었고
you were 3 levels
280개를
ahead, and also you had 280 CS in
일단
21
가는
minutes.
길에
How is that even
저밖에
possible?
없고 저도 먹을 게 있으면 그냥
I
보이는 대로
just
다 먹어서
fire everything I can,
그렇게
everything I
빠른
see, I
성장을
just
쓸
eat it
수
all.
있었던 것 같아요.
So that was how I was able to kind of farm really early.
뺏어 먹더라고요.
I saw you actually farming all the jungle camps as well.
조금 주긴 했어요. 제
I
정보를
did let
베풀어가지고
him, have
거기에도
some.
한 보탬한 것 같습니다.
I was really nice.
타잔 선수가 또 빼먹고 상대편
So you
것도
took away from Tarzan, took away from the
그 대신에
DWG players, right? Well, I
네,
think I
맞습니다.
performed well, you know.
1세트 때 마지막쯤에 에이스를 낸 장면이
And at the end of the game one, you guys aced out DWG players. So let's go through the highlights.
네, 소비 선수에게 여쭤볼게요.
Chovy, what was going on over there?
그냥
Well, I just
눈앞에 보이는 챔피언들한테 스킬 쓰다가
I wasn't using the skills
다 죽어
to the
있길래
opponents in front of me,
공으로
and then
마무리하러 갔어요.
I saw everyone was dead, so
네,
we
이렇게
just
마무리까지.
followed him to ace
브라움이 못하는데.
Olaf over there.
정말
Tarzan said
브라운
Braum
여기서 근데
was actually really bad.
네, 리엔즈 선수가
Well,
사실
Lien's actually led
지난번에
the
바이퍼 선수의
3-man ult over
말이
there.
많네
And also
이후로
Viper said,
확실하게
you are too
자극을 받은
talkative
듯한 모습을
in the
보이고
situation
있나요?
you get caught out. So did he improve after that?
평소랑 같은 것 같은데.
I mean, he
똑같은 것
stays
같아요.
the same.
타잔 선수가
Nothing
보시기에는
really changed.
어떠신가요?
연습할 때도
During the
가끔
practice?
그런 말을 장난스럽게 주고받아서
I mean, we are like
재밌는
actually
것
just
같아요.
picking on each other. I think it's
자,
really
이
hilarious.
세트에서는 타잔 선수가 정말 좋은 활약 보여주셨습니다. 뱀픽에서 정글을 맡기만
Game
했는데
number two.
올라프로 완벽하게
You
세주를
were
잡아내는
the one playing
모습이었어요.
Olaf, and
제뿔
you
대신
kind of
용사를
outplayed
가셨는데
Sejuani.
요즘 메타에서 용사 많이 드는데 어떤 장점이 있을까요?
And you also, I want to ask you about the item build as well.
장점이 없는 것 같아서 초반에 세게 할 거면은
Well, actually,
용사 올려서
if you want to go strong in the early
세게
games,
하는 게 낫겠다 싶어서
my
용사
item build was better, so that's why I tried
이
something
세트에서
new.
세주 가는 곳에 항상 올라프가 등장을 하더라고요.
You
마치
were
상대를 손이
always
놓고 있는
there
것
to
같은데
kind of counter
궁금했던 건
gank
이런 점들이 다 계획을
wherever
하시는 건지
Sejuani was
아니면
going.
본능에 따라 움직이시는
Do
건지
you follow your
궁금했어요.
instinct, or is that all planned?
계획은 하지 않았는데 이제
I
게임
didn't really
하다
plan it,
보면은
but during the games,
이제 상황이 맞게 떨어지면은
well,
그
you sometimes
상황에
have the good
맞게
situations, so
플레이하는
you get to
네.
kind of
타잔
do
선수의
the plays that you
감,
have to do
그리고 어느
during
정도의
each
연습량도
in
많이
every
들어있을
situation.
거라고 생각을 하고요. 오늘 승리 다시 한번 축하드립니다. 그리핀이 저번 경기보다
Griffin,
이번에 더 살아난 듯한
You
느낌이
guys
들어서 다음
really
경기가 또
stepped up
기대가
compared
되는데요.
to the
초비 선수 어떤
previous
식으로
game.
준비하실
So how
생각인가요?
are you going to prepare for your upcoming series?
그냥 잘 해야 할 것
Well,
같은데.
I'll just do well.
네, 초비 선수 잘하길 기대하겠습니다. 타잔 선수는요,
What about you,
전략이
Tarzan?
있으신가요?
Would you like to add on to
이제
that?
두 번째 경기로 손 다 푼 것 같아서
I think
다음
we
경기도
are all
문제 없이
adapted to the
이길 수 있을 것 같아요.
네,
everything
알겠습니다. 오늘
now,
인터뷰 정말
starting from the
감사하고요.
second
여러분,
game, so I think
브리핑
we will be able
선수들에게
to
다시
show
한번
better
큰 박수
performance from now on.
부탁드립니다. 네, 초비 선수, 타잔 선수 감사합니다.
Thank you very much for this
감사합니다.
interview, and I'm going to pass it back
네,
to our
중계사
casters.
연결할게요.
Thank you.
Thank you, T-Sun, once again for that wonderful translation. Toby, always bringing out the fiery interviews saying, we're just going to do well. Good stuff from him. And can't blame him because usually they are showing up. Did go on a massive streak, obviously, in spring, only to fall down in the finals. The only thing they could do better this time around would be to win the finals. So if I were them, that would be my goal this time around.
Yeah. Winning the finals, going to Worlds, getting eliminated in groups to Europe. What?
Yeah, it's a good goal. I like that one.
You like that?
It's very realistic.
I
You always
sneak
seem to
that
have
in there.
your hand on the script, you know? You always seem to know what's going on.
Mr. Buffalo's gonna get their revenge.
Oh, no.
Alright, well, some things never change. Griffin in first now. Green Wings. That's the very
boy.
bottom.
It's, again, their, I think it was Griffin is +3 and Genera -3. They have the mirroring going on again. It's so early on in the season, but
Equilibrium must be maintained.
equilibrium once again.
Yeah.
Down to the end of it, so.
I can't wait until they face off. That's the real highlight.
That's okay. We gotta figure that out right now.
Let's take a look.
When is that gonna happen?
Well, tomorrow we actually get 2 powerhouse matches, though. We get Sandbox Kingzone and Afrika SK Telecom.
That's a big one. Both of them, actually. The first one I'm really going to be looking forward to. Kingzone looking unbelievably strong.
Yes.
In their last matchup.
Kingzone.
Sandbox as well.
Potentially looked like the second best team at the end of spring.
Yeah.
And they've just been ramping up, so really exciting to see them collide tomorrow.
Yeah, even with Nahum coming in there, looking really, really good. Rascal and Cuz really turning up the heat, so good stuff from them. We'll see them tomorrow.